Greetings and hello. Feminism and men's rights are two separate movements that have interests that conflict with one another. One is a hate movement dedicated to stripping men of whatever rights they may have. The other is a movement to restore the rights of men and to give them their human dignity back. Of course, the former is feminism and the latter is men's rights. So therefore, you support one or you support the other. Feminism wants to attack the male sex, while also gaining privileges for women, which makes it a hate movement. While men's rights is to push back against the hate movement and to defend the rights of men. This has to be repeated as derailers love to set up the false frame that men's rights and feminism are compatible. People claiming to do so are insincere feminist trolls trying to derail actual men's rights activism. They do this by invading the men's rights movement and causing derision amongst its members. It is a tactic meant to divert the attention of men, then attack them. It works by moving attention away from genuine male issues and to the exaggerated non-existent concerns of women. Through this way, feminists are successful at making the men's rights movement ineffective, as most self-claimed men's activists are gynocentric themselves and are unhappy they are deselected by women. If the men in the movement had the same attitude as those in the pro-male collective, the feminists would be booted right out and would not even be given a chance to spread their man hate. This is what makes current men's activists ineffective, as they are not willing to call out hate directly from the source and are willing to give it a platform. If the feminist movement makes any gains, then it means further stripping away the rights of men. This is the goal of feminism, which is to disenfranchise and subjugate men under women's demands. The main way that this is accomplished is taking away men's rights and attacking men. Feminism has the goal of female supremacy, and anything else that is claimed is a lie or false frame, meant to disguise the hatred of men as something else. As a result, a gain for the feminists results in a loss for men's rights. Conversely, if the men's rights movement is successful, then it means feminists lose ground. The men's rights movement is meant to protect the rights of men, something that runs counter to the feminists' goal. If a true men's rights movement comes to a point where it is influential, it will undo the laws that feminists have instituted to attack the male sex. Therefore, feminism and men's rights cannot go together and are directly in opposition. Either the rights of men are restored and protected, or they are stripped down further and attacked by feminists. The next point is that the goal of feminists has always been to take away the rights of men. Early feminists gave young men white feathers to shame them into fighting in the First World War. They also were extremely racist and thought that men of other skin colors were beasts. These feminists even admitted that they already had a comfortable position, but they wanted to get at men due to their natural contempt for them. These are the origins of the feminist movement, to disenfranchise men as a whole and gain further privilege for women. Women have all the rights that men have, and even more privileges. There are so many ways that men are disadvantaged that it would take a 24-hour-long video to go into detail to list every single issue. The point is that women are already privileged, and the feminist movement still exists for one reason. The reason is women have a contempt for men, which means that they do not see the male sex as human and as tools to abuse for the sake of satisfying their female social dominance. Therefore, feminism is a supremacy hate movement against men, which pushes lies as facts in order to get systematic action to oppress the male sex further, out of spite. Despite the claims that feminism is for men too, feminists have done nothing but disenfranchise men and attack them. Whenever feminists say that feminism helps men, they are outright lying, as a means of deception. The actions of feminists have been proven to do nothing but attack and smear men. They spit on the male sex and make anti-male policies and laws every time they get into power. This results in men being attacked further, all while more privileges are given to the female sex. Male-only conscription, for example. Men's rights activists have campaigned to ban conscription based on the fact that it unfairly discriminates against men. And what have feminists done in response to this? They have fought tooth and nail against any attempt at equality and have smeared men fighting for equality by saying that they want women to die. This proves that the claim of feminists fighting for men is not only a lie, but is the opposite, with feminists fighting to take away the rights of men to maintain female privilege. And whenever other issues regarding how boys and men are disenfranchised by society come up, there is a usual response by feminists. It is to attack and say that women have it worse, and accuse men's rights activists of trying to derail from female issues. This is projection and happens a lot in regards to men's issues of higher priority like intactivism, homelessness, or female-on-male domestic violence. This is very telling, as it exposes the core motivations of feminism. Such examples make a pretty clear case that feminists are only there to attack and oppress men, to keep female privilege going. When feminist concerned trolls gaslight and say what about the women, that is a malicious attempt at derailing issues that affect men. Men are always affected worse by social issues and do not have a safety net. Women are provided for by the partners that they can easily get and are privileged on every level by the state and employers. There are no issues that women have it worse in. The framing that certain things affect women more is an attack on men, which translates to saying that men do not deserve human rights, thus leaving men to be attacked even more. People will eventually come up with the inevitable claim that, quote, "Not all feminists are like that." This claim goes the same way of the claim that feminists are out there to help men, as a lie. How come top feminists and key figures in their movement never denounce the misandry of those in the movement, or pay attention to the harm and damage feminism causes men? Because they are misandrists themselves, and therefore all feminists support them since they are in the feminist movement. Those people who say any claims of wanting to help men, or anything along those terms, are lying and want to subjugate men further. Falsely framing feminism as women's rights is also brought to the table. Feminism is not women's rights, it is a female supremacist movement built on disenfranchising and attacking the male sex. Women have always had rights, and were always respected. This is due to gynocentrism, as women had the top priority over men and even children. This is evidenced due to the fact that women were always prioritized in disasters such as the Titanic, where a higher percentage of children died than women. Also, women had power through society's gynocentric bias, as everything was still framed as, quote, "save the women." Women were held in higher regard and were exalted as royalty, while the men were workhorses or soldiers who were disposed of for the nobility and women. Also, women had it easy as they were reserved the role of homemaker, while the husband had to toil and break his back to make a living. In societies such as Sparta, among many others, it is always men who were subjected to abuse and hazing, never women. This debunks any notion that women were ever oppressed. Unlike feminism, men's rights is a true human rights movement which aims to restore the rights of men. Men are disenfranchised across the board and have a worse quality of life and lesser life expectancy than women. Among this are important issues that only affect men, which are caused by misandry. A true men's rights movement will fight against these issues, unlike a movement that panders to feminism. In order for this to be done, the movement has to be kept free from feminists and their influence. Any influence by gynocentrism or feminists is sure to attack men and keep men disenfranchised. Anything that maintains the status quo of male abuse is not welcome in a progressive movement meant to promote the rights of the most vulnerable. Men are abused and attacked from all sides, and it is long time that a movement fighting for our rights is needed. The last thing that is needed is more men to be abused and suffer from a misandric society. Feminism enables this abuse, and a coordinated and coherent men's movement is needed to fight back and restore the human rights of men. Feminism needs to be fought against by any man who wants his rights. Feminism is what keeps men disenfranchised and abused. Feminists hijack and take men's issues as their own in an attempt to thwart any genuine activism for men. The gynocentric society endorses this, as they are misandric themselves and want men to suffer as well. It is all to retain female privilege and for women to be allowed to exert their social dominance. Feminism wants men's rights to be taken away because that is their goal. They want men to be completely subjected to the whims of the female sex. If men do not start fighting back against this hate movement, men will be even more disenfranchised and will suffer greatly. On top of men being worthy human beings who need their human rights, men also need to silence and persecute the man-haters, which include feminists. Pandering to feminists is aiding a hate movement and is done by gynocentrists, who themselves are misandrist and who ultimately want to see the rights of men crumble. It is imperative that male spaces leave the feminists and gynocentric panderers at the door and form their own communities, free from feminist man-hating influence, so feminists would not be able to tear them down from the inside. As always, once feminists get a hold of a men's movement, they make it about themselves. This also applies to men's gaming, entertainment, and academia, as these are hotspots taken over by the feminist hate movement as well. If men are to break free from misandry and gynocentrism, kicking and keeping out feminists would be a major first step in fighting for the rights of men. The next steps are to collectively organize as a group and start to aggressively call out anti-male institutions. Only through this way can feminism be stopped, and not by sitting around and spewing cope. If men want to get their rights, they have to fight the people who are oppressing them, which are feminists, and ruthlessly denounce any form of gynocentric bias in society. Tradkins who go on about how men are there to serve women are also part of the feminist movement, as they both serve gynocentrism. Men need to take seriously any hate against them as a sex, and to not pander to those who spew gynocentrism, as they are part of a hate movement against men, aimed at taking away men's rights.